Okay, so I missed last week's upload and I honestly was gonna try to do it and then I was just like, no, I'm just not even stressed about it. Because last week I finally launched my website, which I've had my website for like over a year, but I had kind of like a shift of idea, I guess. And so I kind of like partnered up with two of my yoga teachers and I created an online website where people from all over, specifically from America, can have access to more traditional yoga. So one of my teachers is teaching hatha, one of them is teaching pranayama, and then I'm teaching, I call it mindful movements. I'm trying to kind of like position myself to be accessible to the people who don't feel like they in enough shape to work out or don't have enough like endurance to work out. So my classes are like very low effort, just like helping people reconnect with their body, because through my trauma and everything I've learned in nursing school and then all of my psychology classes and stuff I've taken, I really learned that in order to be truly mentally happy, you have to have clarity throughout your body or be able to be in touch with your body so that you can regulate yourself. Because the truth is that as much as you may advance in every stage of life, but if you haven't been able to tap in and have a regulated nervous system, you'll always go back to what you are familiar with, which a lot of us, it's our subconscious programming from our childhood before we were at the age of 7. And so being able to be in your body, find safety in your body, enables you to be able to like live more the life that you want to live. So I feel like I've like cracked the code and I like really want to share that with other people, but it also is hard understanding that in today's society, people just want quick fixes. People want antidepressants, weight loss pills, like any quick fix rather than actually putting in the time and effort into like making sure your body is, exercised and that you get sunlight and go outside, making sure that your diet is good, making sure you're drinking enough water. Like all those things are essential to be able to have a happy, fulfilled life. It is kind of sad to like acknowledge how much suffering is in the world, but the truth is that people, one, are lacking education, and two, the resources to be able to like help themselves move past that. So I actually opened it up on November 5th, which would be my son's 8th birthday. And my website's name is A Tad Bit of Joy because my son's name was Tad. Well, Theodore. We called him Tad. And his whole life, he just really embodied joy. No matter what he was going through, no matter how hard things were, he just always had so much joy. So it feels like such a pivotal moment in my journey and in my healing to be able to like start something in honor of him, but also driven towards my passion, which is helping people who are mentally struggling and want to find more of a natural, holistic solution. It was a very special day, but it was also heavy. Every milestone that I have without him is still heavy, as much as I have come so far in my grief. And I feel like I do have like a much healthier view on grief, and it's not, my whole life doesn't revolve around grief anymore, which is amazing. But in the same sense, it's also kind of sad because it's like, what mom wants to say that I don't think about my child all the time, which I do think about him all the time, but it's just not so heavy now. And as much as that feels good, it also feels sad because it's like, I remember in the like very beginning of my grief, it's like I really didn't want to heal. I didn't want to be okay without him. And so as much as it's like amazing that I am okay without him and I'm learning how to like thrive without him, it still is like sad, but I don't have another choice. I mean, I do. So that brings me to my next point, which this is kind of like a weird divine timing, meant to be type of thing. But when my son passed, we had him cremated. And but the portion that I have of my son's ashes, I actually put into this teddy bear, which, if you know anybody that loses a child, I highly recommend getting the ashes put into a teddy bear, because when my son first died, I just wanted physical, tangible things to make me feel like closer to him in a sense. And so having this teddy bear was like one of the best things. And I put one of his like newborn shirts on it. It says Team Tad. And it's now been almost 3.5 years since my son passed, and I slept with this bear every night for like the first 2 maybe 2.5 years. And over the last year, I've been trying to just mentally and physically, it sounds weird, but like allow my son to live his life wherever he's at and not be so dependent on him. And so I feel like I have a different type of connection with him. I feel so weird saying all this out loud because it's like it's such a weird experience to like have to learn how to love somebody that's not physically here anymore, because it's a lot of like, I can't explain it. I don't really know what words to use for it, but I just feel like I embody my son. I've done so good and I haven't been crying when I talk about him, but I don't really talk about this that much, but I feel like the way that I live my life is in honor of him. And I feel like because of the pain that I experienced in my grief, I just have so much more empathy for the world and understanding how everybody is battling something and struggling. And it's kind of weird, but I feel like even if I don't tell people like what I've been through, they feel it. And, I meet people walking around and they end up crying to me and telling me their whole life story. And I truly believe it's because I have experienced the depths of darkness and come out on the other side. And I think people feel that somehow in my energy. And so they feel safe enough to like confide in me or open up to me. And as much as sometimes it's a little bit heavy, I feel like that's one of the greatest gifts on earth that you can ever have, is to be a safe space for people. And I think it's very much needed today. So it feels like an honor to do that, and it's only possible because of my experience with my son. And so I feel like everything I do and just the person I am is because of him, in honor of him. And so I don't really need the like physical reminders as much because it's just become part of my life. So all that to say is that I had this little bear, and when I started traveling, I actually was planning on leaving this with a family member because I didn't want anything to happen to his ass. But long story short, ended up not happening. That dropped the bear off at that family member's house, and I ended up bringing Tad's bear with me. And I started to have this feeling like maybe I shouldn't be holding on to his ashes anymore. That like maybe his ashes need to go back to Earth. I don't know. I feel like I'm sounding like a weirdo, right? But I just started feeling like I shouldn't keep them. And so it was kind of a weird coincidence that I ended up bringing his ashes here to India with me. And my first trip here to India 2 years ago, one of the first times that I saw Ganga, which they call the river here, Mother Ganga, which she has like a lot of really spiritual stories about her. But if you've ever been able to experience and like be near Ganga, it is just a very like, people travel from all over to like dip in Ganga, and it's supposed to be like a very cleansing thing. And so one of the first times when I saw Ganga, the river, I saw what was like a cremation happening on the riverbed. And essentially, they made kind of like a coffin out of different pieces of wood, and they were burning like the whole thing, just like a cremation, but they were doing it on the riverbed. And somebody stands with the body all throughout the process. And I just remember being like awestruck. Like I just was like, that's so beautiful. Like that's how I felt like that was such a special way to honor our bodies, but also return them back. Because I don't know, like it's like a weird analogy, but like trees, like it's the craziest thing, but trees spend their whole life turning into a tree with all its branches, and it shades, like provides shade to other plants and provides a house to like small animals. And then if you see, even after the tree dies, then the tree dies and it turns into fertilizer to replenish the earth. And I just feel like it's such a beautiful like full circle moment to give birth even after you've died, to like nourish even after you've died. And so I felt kind of called to put Tad's ashes into the Ganga River here. And so I think today's the day, which I feel a little bit nervous, but I also feel like I've gotten to the stage in life, especially after traveling, that I really realized that you shouldn't be attached to anything, because the truth is that anything can be taken from you in a moment, like no matter what it is. And so you should never attach yourself to things, because then it becomes like a puppet. You become a puppet to that item. And I would notice that whenever I was flying, I would get really nervous. Like I have to make sure that Tad's bear is like in my backpack, and I have to make sure, and it was creating like a lot of anxiety because I didn't want to misplace his ashes. And the truth is that as much as Tad was my baby, but he also was a baby of the universe or God, however you want to look at it. And, I shouldn't hold on to it. I don't know. It just feels like, I feel like it's unnecessary at this point. So I think that later today, when the sun starts to go down, that I'm going to go release his ashes into the river, which I feel like kind of funny about it because I'm like, I don't want to be disrespectful. I feel like that's something that I'm really conscientious about, is making sure that when I'm in different areas and in different cultures, to never be disrespectful to the culture. And so I've asked a couple of my friends here and a couple of people that I've met here, and everybody has like said, yeah, like you should do that. Like, so hopefully nobody watching this feels offended by that. And hopefully it's not offensive. I don't think it is. I think that everybody has been like really supportive of it. And it feels good, but it also is like heavy. But I'll still have the actual bear. I just won't have the ashes that are in him, which it's just a normal teddy bear. And then in the back, I don't know if I would get in, I don't think that they're gonna like flag my video for sharing this, but I've put a couple of different little things in here. Like it came with this little heart is like not enough to have the ashes, but it's a piece of his hair. I feel like it's so weird. Like when people die, you hold on to the weirdest things. Like I have just a little Ziploc bag. And then I also have like that I think I will keep. I mean, again, it's like why keep it? But in the same, then it's like, this is why grief is so hard, because it's like literally nothing you do is right. I feel like it's such a weird thing. Then I have one of his little toy cars. I think I have two. My son was obsessed with cars. And so when he passed, I had all these little cars. I have like random ones even with me now. But the truth is, if I lost this, then I would be sad, but it would be okay. But then this is his ashes. It's kind of crazy. It's like a weird thing to think about, the aspect that like when you die, you just get turned into a bag of dust, you know? Yeah, see, I even have a air tag in him because I'm scared to lose him. Oh, but see, these are more ashes. I think I'll probably keep those. I still don't want to lose the Tad bear, but I think that I will go take those. It's so weird how losing somebody changes the way that you see things. Like things are just not the same anymore, in physical sense, in a mental sense, in a spiritual sense. Like things just have so much more meaning. Like you see a bag of dust and you would think like, what the heck is that? But because I have experienced grief and I had my son cremated, dust or ashes look a whole lot different to me. But it's just so weird how things get changed so quickly, and how your view on life looks so much different after you go through a really close loss. So yeah, I'll still have my Tad bear. He just won't have ashes in him. And honestly, I think that this is the best thing. It's like my way of like fully setting my son free, which it's kind of funny the lights turned on right after I said that, but the saying that if you love someone, you set them free. And it is like a sad analogy, but at the end of the day, the truth is that we all deserve to be free in whatever sense that is. And when my son was here in the beginning, when he was really sick, every night I used to pray. I don't even want to say pray. I used to beg, like, whatever God there is, like, whoever it is, like, please don't take my baby. I'll do anything for you. Like, I used to beg, like, I'll do, I would have given anything. And then I started nursing school to be his nurse. And I remember the more that I learned, the more I was forced to accept that no matter what, my son was never going to be free here on earth, because he had so many physical limitations that prevented him from even doing the basic things like breathing and eating. And so my prayers changed every night from please don't take him to please let him know that he can go when he's ready to go. Because I do think that if you love somebody, you love them enough to let them go because you just want them to be happy. And as much as that's so difficult for a mother to do, I would do it over and over again because I would do anything for Tad. And I kind of feel like this is the like final step to like fully allow him to be free wherever he is. So yeah, that's my big update. Heavy. This week is definitely a little heavy, but I think the truth is that the other day I was actually talking to these people down at Ganga, and I don't normally bring up Tad unless that I'm like really getting to know people. I don't really bring him up, but he got brought up and they actually asked like questions. Most people, when they hear like, oh, your child died, people just kind of like shut down and they don't know what to say and they change the subject and it gets really awkward. But these people actually like sat in it with me and they asked like what happened, and then we went to leave and the person was like, you know, thanks so much for opening up and sharing that with me or with us. And you know, I just said that like I'm still a mom and that even though that my child's passed, I still enjoyed to talk about him. And normally I feel bad when I talk about him because it brings up such negative emotions in other people that it makes me feel bad for bringing it up. But the truth is that in this conversation, I was reminded that the most human thing that we can do is to feel. And because of my life and because of what I've went through, when you get to know my story, it's hard for you not to feel. And some may call it a blessing, some may call it a curse, but my life is a reminder of what truly matters. And you can't fully get to know me without facing that. And as much as that does make it kind of hard on me, at the end of the day, it is a blessing to not only me, but to other people because it reminds them that, you know, life is so precious and we never really know like what tomorrow holds. And I also have now realized that when people see me and they kind of get to know me a little bit and then they hear my real story, people always ask, like, I don't know how you did it, or I don't know how you're doing it. As much as I personally hate that comment because it makes me feel like, you know, what else am I supposed to do? I think it reminds people that despite what happens to you, you get to create your own story. And just like I said in the beginning of this video, that, you know, I have learned how to take the pain of losing my son and turn it into something really beautiful by learning how to give back to the world and trying to help people. And I feel like this is like a new stage in my grief that I've kind of reached, which feels good, but obviously heavy, you know. But I am like a walking reminder that we as human beings are physical bodies having a spiritual experience. And it's important to take care of your physical body so that you can experience your emotions and the like spiritual side of life and what is underneath what the surface looks like. Kind of crazy, but this is my life. So that's it for this week's vlog. Maybe I'll share a couple shots of me putting Tad's ashes into the river, but I'll see you next week. Hopefully it won't be so heavy.